So, real quick, before the intro. Anyway, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Christmas 2020 update, and I'm going to be going through all of the major features and additions and giving my opinions on everything. Now, contrary to what you may believe, I actually have some mostly good things to say about this update. I thought it was overall pretty solid. It does certainly have its issues, and we'll get to them, but as a whole, it was a pretty good update, and I was actually pretty happy with everything that was added in it. With that being said, let's just start talking about all of the features, starting off with the Advent Calendar. This technically wasn't a part of the main Christmas update, it was added a little bit before, but I still think it's worth mentioning because I really like it. It's obviously not anything major, and there isn't really too much to say about it other than the fact that it's just a nice way to get people coming back to the game every day. It's a good incentive to get people logging on daily, and it has some pretty nice rewards, some cool exclusive items, some UC, and some boxes and all that. No real complaints for me. It's a nice little addition, and I hope that if we get another MH Christmas update, then I hope it comes back. Now moving on to the actual first part of the update, the first feature that I wanted to highlight in this video were the shinies. Now it's no secret that I've never been the biggest fan of limited shinies. I've never really liked their addition to the game. I wish that they weren't added at all, and up until this point, I haven't really liked how they've been handled. But during this last update, they were actually handled a lot better than they have been in previous updates, and I was actually pretty satisfied with them. Instead of just being treated like regular shinies with the same odds and then being turned into limited shinies after the event was over, they started with the limited shiny tier, and they have double the odds from normal shinies. Now, this doesn't make them easy to get. You still have to put in some time and actually grind in order to get one, but they are a lot easier to get than some of the older limited shinies, and I found them a lot more fun to go for because I actually got some results for the time I was putting in. Felt a lot more satisfying, felt like I was actually earning something even if they are just useless cosmetic items at the end of the day, and it felt rewarding. And I don't think they're too easy. I think you do still have to put in the time in order to actually get them. Yeah, I really just think they found a good balance with them, and I hope that if they do keep going with limited shinies, which it seems like they're going to, that they keep going with this new limited shiny system and the increased odds. Of course, it would be a better alternative to just completely remove limited shinies, but I'm sure that's not going to happen, so this is the next best thing in my opinion. Now, moving on to another tier of item that I don't like being limited, we've got Relic Items, and these I don't have quite as many nice things to say about because I think that these were actually handled a little bit worse than the limited Halloween relics. Now, I don't think these are that much worse, and I don't think that this is a significant deal breaker or anything for the update, but I do want to highlight why they feel a little bit worse to go for, and hopefully in the future, well, hopefully we just don't get any limited Relic Items, to be honest, because I don't think these should be in the game. Now, there's a pretty simple reason why these Relic Items are a little bit more annoying than the Halloween Relic Items, and that is simply festive boxes are a little bit harder to get and a little bit slower to get than pumpkin boxes were. And I don't think you need me to do the math for you. Less boxes equals less chances to get the Relic Items. Now, festive boxes are still relatively easy to get at the end of the day, but they're just a little bit more annoying in my opinion, and getting the actual Relic Items is a little bit harder. You also have to open them out of gifts instead of just getting the outright item, which is annoying for collectors because it means you have to get multiple of the Relic Item to technically have every item from the event. This doesn't matter for most players, so it's not really a major point for me, but it is still something worth noting. That is more just a symptom of this being a Christmas update than anything else, but I hope we don't see anything like that in the future because it just makes them a little bit more tedious to grind for, and at the end of the day, I didn't really like these items too much, and I don't really like limited Relic Items in the first place, so I'm not a fan. Moving on to something that I'm a very big fan of, we've got the new click activation prompt, which I absolutely love, and it's probably my favorite thing from the whole update. This is genuinely one of the best quality of life changes we've gotten to the game in a very, very long time. It's a very simple change. Instead of having to click on a button on the item itself, you just have to be near it and then you have to click a hotkey. And it just works. You can just activate the item very simply. You can also click the prompt if you don't want to use the hotkey, and it just feels really streamlined and nice. Super, super convenient, makes the game just feel that much better when you're using these click to activate items. Now, moving on to what is the main focal point of this event, the main sort of quest, if you will, the present farming. And in my opinion, the present farming this time around was actually handled pretty well. I liked it from last year, and this year felt like just an extension to that. Added a few more items to go for, and it added a few more presents to go for as well. As an older player, you're gonna have a lot of the older Christmas items that you could farm with, but you still need to get a few of the new ones to be able to get some of the rarer gifts from the pool. It means that you still have to interact with the game, do some rebirthing and all that to get all the items, and it's not too easy to get into it, but if you're an older player, you do still have a small head start. And same thing with the gifts. If you're an older player, you probably have most of, if not all of the old gifts already, but there are some new ones to go for. And some of them are actually pretty rare, so it means you actually have to spend a little bit of time still trying to go for them. And of course, if you're a newer player and you didn't have the older gifts, they're definitely worth going for as well because some of the older gifts were really, really powerful portable items that you could get. And I think, once again, they found a pretty good balance with the gift farming. I think they made it nice for newer players and for older players, gave everyone something to do. It was a lot less overwhelming than Halloween. Everything felt a little bit simpler and a little bit nicer. Grinding for presents felt a little bit more satisfying in my opinion. It was a little bit less tedious than a lot of the Halloween quests, and it felt a lot more rewarding. You were getting more items that were more useful to you, and it felt like a pretty solid system in my opinion. That is, until they added the question mark gift into the pool. Yeah, this gift right here, this simple gift that was added in the part 2 of the Christmas event is my single least favorite part of the entire event. Other than this gift right here, I basically didn't have anything that negative to say about this update, but this gift kind of ruins that for me. This thing took a lot of the bad parts of the present farming system, the sort of inherent grindiness and tediousness to it, and just amplified them and made it way, way worse. Where for some of the other rare gifts I spent hours going for them, this thing took me a day of grinding to get. None of it was time I enjoyed, none of it was fun, it was just kind of a grind for the sake of it, and it wasn't fun, it wasn't rewarding. It was all of the bad parts of present farming, and it ultimately culminated in a gift that meant absolutely nothing to me. I don't want to say this thing completely ruined gift farming or the system for me, because I don't think it necessarily takes away entirely from the system and the good things it did, but man, does this thing really hurt what was otherwise a pretty solid system. I don't want to spend too long harping on this and being super negative, so just in conclusion, bad gift really hurt the gift farming system, and I think the game would have been a lot better if this thing just wasn't added. Moving on from that, though, after that, the artifacts opened, and I actually quite like the artifacts from this time around. It really feels like with all of them, they're sort of embracing the more goofy side of the artifacts, and all of the items are sort of fun items that you can play around with and do some pretty cool things with. With the exception of all of the toothpick walls, of course, because they're just kind of decoration items, everything else can actually be used to create some pretty cool things, and I'm sure a lot of community members are going to do some fun things with them. We've got what are essentially the Miner's Haven equivalent of note blocks, which I really like, and I think some people are going to be able to create some really cool songs and stuff with them once they're actually coded. We got dominoes, which are just fun, and you can create some pretty cool looking things with them. And we got the minecart, which you can build roller coasters with, which who doesn't love roller coasters? Who didn't spend hours building Minecraft roller coasters on Pocket Edition? I don't know, maybe that's a little bit too specific. Regardless though, I like the artifact items, and in terms of the perks, 2 of them were extremely good, and 2 of them were so forgettable that I don't remember what they do. The ones that are useful were really useful though. You've got one that makes boxes open instantly, which I think is too good to be an artifact perk, honestly. I really think they should have used that for something else that wasn't an artifact. I think that a perk like that being restricted to a limited game pass is kind of a bad idea, but you know, that's what they did with it, and it is still a genuinely fantastic perk, and it's really, really helpful. The other perk that's actually worth mentioning is the minecart perk, which gave an entire new layout slot. Now, it's kind of a limited layout. You only have 20 total items to be able to place within it, but this is still really nice for just being able to have infuser setups or money setups or whatever you can fit in 20 items. It makes the sort of restricted layout system feel a little bit less restrictive and gives you a little bit more options while also not being overpowered, which I quite like. I think this is a pretty good perk and everything that artifacts really should be. Convenient, quality of life, not overpowered. Now lastly, before I go, I do want to touch on these collectible gifts which opened up, because they opened up into something that I don't think anybody was really expecting. The gift of clovers turns into lucky clovers, the gift of life turns into shards of life, and the gift of research turns into research points. I think nobody was expecting this, and a lot of people were kind of disappointed by this. They were hoping for some cool collectible items, and instead they just got consumables. Now at first I didn't really know how to feel about these, but after some time I actually kind of liked them. Now it's kind of hard to deny the inherent lazy feel of them. They kind of just open up into consumables instead of having actual dedicated items for them. And I do understand that, and they definitely do have kind of a lazy feel to them, but I do think that the rewards are actually more useful for most players than the items. Now, if you're an early game player, maybe having the upgraders or whatever they would open up into would be a little bit more helpful for you, but for most players in the mid and late game, having these consumables is actually really good. And I also think that these are going to be really helpful in Third Sacrifice. Once you get your items back, being able to instantly get a bunch of shards of life and lucky clovers, that's going to be extremely significant, I think, for a lot of people, and that's going to give a nice little boost. And the research points, they don't really matter. We'll forget about those. That gift is kind of useless for everyone, I think. But yeah, these two, genuinely useful, and I think they're a better reward than any forgettable garbage collectible that could come out of them. Of course, I do have to mention the question mark gift and the fact that it hasn't opened into anything yet, so this annoying, tedious gift that we had to spend so much time for hasn't turned into anything. There's nothing that this opens up into yet. We don't even have a bad item to make fun of or anything. It's just nothing, and who knows when or what it's gonna open up into, or if it's even gonna open up at all. And yeah, dumb gift, I hate it. With that being said though, that is all of the major stuff that I wanted to cover in this video. Like I said, I thought this update was pretty good overall. I liked most of the stuff that was added in it. The click prompt is one of my favorite things in this update. I love it. The new limited shiny system, which I think is going to be returning, is a genuinely good one, and the present farming for the most part felt pretty rewarding. It was a good update in my opinion, far better than anything we got during Halloween, and I had a good time with it. With the exception of you, of course, but you know, we can just forget about that gift and remember all of the positive things about this update. And with that being said, I can finally stop recording for tonight. It took me so goddamn long to get this video done for whatever reason. I wasn't feeling it tonight. So if you made it this far and you enjoyed this video, thank you very much. I appreciate it, especially on this one where I struggled a lot to actually get it done. Big thank you to all you guys for supporting me, and of course, big thank you to my channel members as well. Gotta shout all of them out, of course. We got Crowbars, Dissa, Luke, Aramix, Phantom Ace, MLG Ben, Ninja, Abyss, Gage, Alex, Ben, Vajutsu, Skelligames, Andrew, Atrax, Plut, and Totally Mysterious. You guys are much appreciated as always, and so are the people who have watched this video to the end and enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, remember to leave a like, and if you want to see more like it, remember to subscribe. Love you, hate you. Peace out, everyone.